Hey everyone, I'm Tassenix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, the Grand Arena focused podcast centered around the top 100 of Kyber 1 for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I am joined by the entire regular cast. We've got Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, it is the preview episode for Season 82, 3 versus 3. Um, we've got Rollcrons back in the mix, outgoing set that needs to be replaced. We got a lot to talk about today, but before we get into all that, how's everybody doing? Dagger, how you been?
Uh, recovering, but fine. I have done my best Sasha Aisha impression and know nothing about what's happened in game outside of Gak being pushed forward today.
Fantastic. It's going to be interesting. We'll see who's actually done homework for today. All right, over to you, TJ. How about you? How's the off week been treating you?
Yeah, man. I think we talked about his birthday last week. So I was during our trip or our conversation. I was on my way to Vegas, and now I am since home and ready to kind of get into it. And as far as doing homework, I'm at 65% of 100 on my template as we speak.
All right, yeah, you're getting there. Fair enough. Sasha Aisha, how's it going over there for you? I know you've just been crushing it here in the off week, putting your nose to the grindstone.
Yeah. I slept nose down then. But yeah, it's just I've got 24 extra hours of like I guess bare minimum activity.
I was going to say you can
I've
just
at
say
least thought.
procrastination. Yeah.
Yeah, I've at least thought a bit about this cron set for sure, and I have some cautious, borderline unreasonable optimism that it could be a source of fun. And yeah, so looking forward to the new season.
All right. And over to you, Fatal. How is the off week treating you? What have you been up to?
It's been a very chaotic off week for reasons that I cannot really talk about. And in game wise, I am honestly, ever since they released Jedi Leia, it just felt like we got split into the before times and the after times, and I'm kind of just waiting for her. I mean, Rada will be a nice distraction, but I am very much just Jedi Leia waiting room because she looks so goddamn fun. Oh, and also the training room. We are hopefully finally coming up on that, if that is this era, which please God let it be this era. I don't know how it possibly would it be this era, because that would mean it's coming December. That's like a year out from announcement, but you know.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of forward thinking for them. It's really so far out.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. And the Leia even more so.
So a quick clarification, Fatal. When you say this era, do you think you're thinking when the current era converts to legacy and the next one starts, or like in
If
a week and a half?
If they don't do it then it will literally be like end of November, early December would be the second to next era. To like, it's either that or I guess they could. Maybe there's a world where they launch an era arena during mid era, but that also seems great. Like, can you imagine if like 2 weeks ago they were just like, "Hey, good news, guys! Squad Arena or Air Arena is now live," and it's just like we've been doing this already. Like, I guess it's possible. It just makes sense to me that they would want to launch all that stuff. Because then they also say like the mod replacement is coming in with Squad Arena, right? Or is it a different update?
I don't recall, honestly.
I don't recall that update post that well either, but that's what I recall is like, yeah, it'll have like the mod equivalent. I guess it's more like League Masteries than mods, but
Yeah, I would expect to be a title update if you're going to see it. That's a major haul to the game, in my opinion, more than just a hot update that they've normally done. So I would expect the title one would make the most sense. So I think you're right.
So yeah, my best guess is it has to be at the start of an era rather than them trying to like jury rig that shit during.
Yeah. Yeah, so, that's not a stat update. That's a full shift in the gameplay and the dynamics from all that.
So yeah, it is either the end of this year or in 2 weeks, is my educated guess.
We'll find out together. All right, guys, we got a lot of show to get into. Let's jump in to remods and relics, our preparations here for week one. So obviously we've got these roll crons back in the mix. Out of all of them, out of all of the abilities across any of the roles, is the only one that's really calling you to do any serious remods the 400% defense to offense? What do you guys think about that?
I haven't really sat down with this era at all. I know everyone's very hyped about the 400%. I don't
Yeah, there's
know how many characters it's indicated for yet,
right.
because I
That's
mean,
the obvious next question is just first of all, on the high level, aside from those attackers, was there any other roles that you're actually thinking it's like, oh yeah, I should remod
I,
the C's on that?
I mean, the only one that at least really invited the consideration is support grit, and then saying, okay, are we
Mm,
moving to primary? Like, is Ezra going from like a health focus, possible defense modding
yeah. Did you not allude to doing this in our last episode, Fatal?
to like, hey,
Sorry, maybe there was a delay in the line. Sorry, Sasha. Go ahead and finish
no,
your thought.
no, no. Yeah, no, no. Fatal had mentioned it for sure, and that was just. I mean, when you look at grit, that just seemed like another natural possibility. Um, again, maybe it's Ezra's an obvious one for it. It's probably the most prominent support character in the game, but like I don't know, you could even see I don't know your Wookiees doing it or something like that with a couple of support characters in there.
Sure, sure.
yeah, I
You
do think that Grit does sound good, and CA possibly as well,
Thank you.
especially in the context of Sidula.
I was looking for the CA. The CA was. I know we're all calling it up, but I think those are the. But that CA one's gonna have a lot of fun, man.
so,
Especially in a
so
world of threes.
so to be clear, I mean, I know you said you haven't really sat down and done any of this work yet, but on paper, you're thinking health sets, CA arrow, prop primaries elsewhere.
I mean, it really depends on the individual characters, like
Sure, like
base health and protection, what makes sense mathematically. The CA is only for Ahsoka, like that would only really matter for the Bane matchup. But yeah, the hope being you load up on health and protection to irritate Great Mothers, and then past that you have the Cordovites Ahsoka to possibly increase the chance of uh timing out
sure,
C Bane, which is already kind of on the table, but that crit avoidance probably doesn't hurt.
sure. All right, appreciate you guys answering me on that. Some other characters that I've been, getting ready here in the off week. Brushing up my Sherpa, Nisa, Paplu. Don't know how likely it is I'll be using them throughout the season, but if I am going to use them, I'll tinker with them here in one, something like that. Snow Trooper, Ezra Bridger, unironically getting tuned up to be used with what? Well, Snow Trooper is actually a little ahead of schedule. That's for the leader that's coming, but it's Ezra and Ugnaught that needed the tune up. Ezra just getting better offense set than he used to have. Crit damage triangle. Ugnaught's just a bunch of speed. I want to say prot or health primaries. I think I'll probably go prot. But yeah, lots of turns from him and then hit many times from Ezra stacking offense. Something like that. Anything different that you guys are doing for any of these characters I've mentioned so far?
More or less off limits on investments anytime soon until either the era, and then like I would give higher priority to ISB, since once Party Gang goes, I would imagine like my IPD will be more necessary in a 5v5 context.
Sure. So I assume you're talking from the point of like applying more relics to them. I haven't even been talking about boosting relics. I'm just saying remods to engage, the beginning of this season. So I mean, I've done a Nisa, Ezra, Snow Trooper. It was a little early though. Ugnaught and yeah, Chirpa Paplu. Kind of it.
Yeah, my Ewoks definitely need attention if they're going to have any chance of seeing action. So that's one that I'll flag maybe just a little before lock, at least put some self-respecting mods on them. But um, one remod I actually did, long overdue, but was CX2 for like maximum survivability. And the reason I did that is just because that 10% amp-ag attacker level 6 for LV is so tough. Like I think not that it can't be beaten, but it really tears up like a number of other counters that like in a way where I think I just want as much survivability as I can get for LV and his compatriots there. So I just made CX2, and probably should have done it before, but just made him as thick as I could.
Nice. So is that all health sets, or what'd you do?
I would have liked to have done health sets based on his unique. I think I went with mostly prot and still some speed,
Okay, yeah,
but yeah.
speed health sets, 4 prop primaries. Looks great.
Yeah, I actually, I mean, so people know, I would have prioritized health primaries if I had an abundance of them available. I just went with sort of what I had, and the nice thing about the LV lead is, while maybe you get a little bit more out of health in threes, I think with CX2 and is unique. The LV does such nice stuff with prod anyway. I went with that.
Yeah, appreciate you mentioning that. It's a good one. I bulked mine up at the end of last 3 versus 3 for both of the clones under Lord Vader in threes. The 3 health primaries and over 11k offense on Oppo. Yeah, the health primaries, speed set, CX2.
How about your LV? Are you are you sticking with, do you have a triangle that's crit damage there? Does the 10% amp egg change that thinking and say, hey, just maybe survivability and the dots do so much more?
So,
Um
Yeah, I've been on a prot triangle for a
Prot.
while, and I don't feel
Mhm.
like this set has made me want to change it at all.
Yeah,
Because we
I
had
can
the
do that.
2% into this, and neither one of those made me really want to put a crit damage triangle on him.
hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've never wavered from the crit damage triangle, and I don't know that I have any immediate plans to change away. I'd be interested to hear what the rest will have to think. But what I did do, though, is I've been hunting a good protection arrow here for him for a while, and finally had things roll reasonably on one of them. So we're down from 590 to 580, but now we're pretty much 330,000 life total at 13,781 offense. Crit damage triangle still. So trying to hit, you know, all the notes at once.
Yeah, I haven't really cared about Lord Vader's offense in close to a year. Ever since the clones came out, the clones do enough aggregate damage, and he's had a ton of Datacron support. Again, with like the amp bag and now the bigger amp bag with this. I know like offense is still good. I'm not saying people shouldn't do that. I've mostly focused on trying to get him to like 350k, like survivability kind of thing, 360.
Mm-hmm. How about the
So
rest of you guys?
I'm holding off on him as far as Vader. As far as remods, I kind of took a more specific point. One, it's funny you talk about remodding for Ugnaught. I'm actually modding Ugnaught, so I guess maybe that's where we differ. Just giving it, but
Okay, technically right. Okay.
actually, so no, it's just that, and then trying to. I actually pumped Ezra to 8, which he's been 7 forever, and that's talking about when I was using the old Phoenix team. That, and then the Cobb team. Don't really know what's going to be right or wrong with the new DC. What it's, is it going to be Nebbit? We saw what happened with you and Sasha, and now is Nebbit a monster with the Nebbitcron? Is it Cobb? How do the supports play? So I'm kind of like literally just modding all of them with what I think I might be using, because I don't know how this is all going to work out. So with all of those diagnostics and pieces in, it makes it fun to think about like what's going to be right. So this week is going to be a lot of fun in seeing like, aha, I got you. And maybe this is the one where if you're going to use this specific counter, this really hurts it.
Okay. I appreciate that. Other remods that you're looking into here this week, TJ?
Um, the Ugnaught team, the COD team. I kind of went back on a lot of them. So I looked at my hot utils template. I think I'm up to 20 reds or something like that, where I've taken stuff off and started maneuvering things because it's just a thing of the past. And now a lot of them are going to be kit based. I'm looking at remods all over the place.
Sure.
As
Well,
far as
on
like
a
Pirate
high
King.
level, what
Yeah,
was
yeah.
your priority to remod in the Cobb team, and what three are we talking about? Is everybody just going to be doing Cobb, Nebbit, and what Cup?
I mean, Cut feels the strongest to me out of everything we've seen for the gameplay, but I still love Lobot. So it's like what supports are in where and how are we aligning it? Or is we doing the true Nebitcron and we're going to play something there with that? Because that bulk
It's probably I'm probably gonna go with Nebbit and Cup. I mean, like Bodhi just
feels strong.
Bodhi just doesn't have a kit, right? Bodhi is just, hey, Cobb makes me do like non-zero things.
Lobot with the cleanse is pretty slick. And pushing out that time as you're trying to do stuff could be
Aren't they
super
immune to
detrimental.
debts?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't care.
not immune to other debuffs though. Plus, it's a turn
Yeah.
meter push for the team. I want to say.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
thought he
That's
only gave it to droids, but I could be wrong. No, the way I look at it is I don't view Cobb as like anything outside of a Jabba killer because until someone can do something cool with him, I just, man, I don't know. He just doesn't seem great, even with his Kron.
And then, if you view it as a primarily a Java killer dagger, are you really focused on the DPS, like either damage on the Kron or possibly even on Cobb and how
Yeah,
he's modded?
Cobb and Cup and Kron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But I
See,
had Cup in like when they first released the team, I put Cup in like a really good offense set. Like I'm gonna say really good, but it was like I don't know, 25th, I don't know, somewhere between like the 20th best set. You know what I mean? I put him in a pretty offense heavy set because of the true damage, just in general. So I didn't remod him or anything. I did remod Cobb with an offense. No, I had Cobb in an offense set. I lied. I've had Cobb in an offense set with bulk primaries.
Mm-hmm.
so
So yeah,
I will say I'm still torn because I think Nebbit won. I think Sasha did a great job of showing it and giving it support. And then like say the CA setup with the Nebbit could be super like honoring. I don't know what it's gonna be right now. I doubt they'll do anything, but I still want to play with the team. I really like it. I like the constables, I like the options for it. And in a world of 3 versus 3, it could be super strong. The other
Yeah, the
one for remods.
survivability is great. Quickly on that one, TJ, the one
No, go
thing
ahead.
that bummed me out in watching it again is the challenge Nebbit has getting his taunt up and keeping a taunt.
Yep.
Because I totally agree. Survivability is awesome, but it feels like the match fairly like faster than I would want it to. Just becomes, well, okay, well now they've got 4 minutes left to just beat down Nebbit. And it may take 3.5 minutes, but they'll do
Yeah.
it.
Um, minus all the that one, the other one I'm looking at, and I know we'll probably talk about it, the Django team. So I went back to my Django and made sure I locked him back in to be faster, more damage in the setup because bounty hunters are still strong, and I still love Asajj as one of the best bounty hunters to
But
me in the game.
you just tuning up what you were already doing, not a significant
Yeah.
actual change in the setup.
For him, more damage, more speed, more making sure the crit chance is locked in. All of the pieces that I guess I did for fives, and it may not, but I still want to just like I might as well look at him now, just because that setup might be super strong.
Sure. Okay, and then as far as remods, so yeah, I really haven't done this yet, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think. With the 400% defense to offense, a few different names keep popping up in conversations I'm in around the community. BKM for sure. Apparently, she
Mhm.
can hit so devastatingly that if you build her in just absolutely maxed out defense. I've seen the screenshots, like full defense sets, and honestly, I've seen it like 4 defense primaries. Not that I'm recommending, I'm just saying what I've seen. Like one
Yeah.
shotting a Scorch, most of an LV team kind of going down before Bam gets to launch his birds. You've got your 2 attackers for your Gungan team, Boombadir and Tarpals. They're largely, immune to damage while the shield generator stands. So kind of a smart idea. I've seen some screenshots again, switching them into defense mods. And then Night Sister Spirit, yeah, for going against Ahsoka Tano and probably any number of other matchups. Um, Maybe not the defense to offense, but this is maybe the double damage, and I'm not probably not remodding Spirit for any reason for that. But aside from, so I guess these first four characters to maybe take advantage of the defense to offense. Anybody else you're hearing about, and what do you actually think about it? Because I don't know that I'm gonna go all the way and go full defense sets for attackers because I'm still developing those. I don't have enough to make complete sets for all of these characters in offense stats on defense mods. But I'm thinking, any remaining two pieces that are not defense become defense, stuff like that. What do you guys say? The philosophy on whether or not you're remodding these guys and other characters I've missed.
I'll
Well, I was just
go ahead,
say
Edgar.
mine's just quick. I don't plan to remod anything for week 1,
Right.
but I have done what my guild has asked me to do. I know that's kind of vague, but that's the only
Also
remodding I've done.
unhelpful.
Well,
It
you
depends
kind
on
of
how you look at it.
you kind of like said most of it already.
I think it's going to be the same thing. The other one you want to look at, and I agree with Dagger. I'm going to wait to see where I'm at for what I really want to do. But any of the teams that get you out in front and fast, SLKR is like stupid, dumb, easy minded because you stop turn meter, so you get to go. That's going to destroy stuff with that defense to offense. Um, there's it's just any team that's going to push the attacker kit in front, and then once you start, you're done. Right? BCAM makes perfect sense because she's going to tie in on that, and and you're leaving her alive. It's going to be easy. Um,
Also, just remember that Maul Hatefield is an attacker.
that's what I mean, right? It's like there are so many different ways this gets to play. That's why I love kit DCs when CG gets it right. Not that we have to have perfect sets for everything. Because you start looking beyond just the dark side, light side. You actually get to look like who's doing it and where is it best. It's not. It shouldn't just be. And in my opinion, I think you want a good set of both the 100% and the 400%. Just because it's some people, it's like, well, you don't get to go first, so let me just remove all of my defense. Oop, you're dead. Versus like, can you get yourself back to full health? And then now I'm going to get the 100%, and that setup over time is just going to be devastating because of that setup. That's just the possibilities are endless.
Okay. Heard from Dagger, heard from TJ. Who's got other things to say here on these attackers, defense to offense, other attacker level sixes, any and everything to do with the attackers right now? I didn't know if I think we did a job of covering anything else that jumped
Yeah,
out to you guys about the other roles earlier.
I've not remodded specifically for use of any of the attacker ones, but I am looking to accumulate very much along the lines of what TJ said, like a good mix of both the plus 100% damage when full health and prot, as well as the 400% defense to offense. And the reason being, like, I I understand the numbers on the defense to offense and the huge spike in damage that that can provide, but I get wary. Part of it is just like having spent the last, I don't know, whatever, 4+ years farming defense mods, trying to optimize like
Yeah.
damage mitigation on my squad, going like, oh, but then it leaves them with 50% of the defense that they used to have, or reduces it by 50%. So part of that makes me a little anxious in some situations, like with Slicker. Like if Flicker's going to go first, maybe I just take the big double damage early on, hope I can one
Yeah.
shot somebody out, but then I don't feel defense limited going forward. All that being said, like I do think there's going to be some major like early knockout punch potential. I have only messed around a little bit in squad arena, like maybe 2 battles, just sort of randomly, and it was very noticeable with the 400% defense to offense how like some of these squads were outperforming. So yeah, and it is an interesting concept to even like remod to defense primaries. Like I haven't looked at it, but it's an interesting one.
And to kind of piggyback off that, Sasha, I know in the past when we've had defense to offense level 6s, generally speaking, you didn't prioritize them on defense unless your opponent was using some kind of health percent or true damage against the team.
Yeah.
Just because, like what you said, it leaves the team incredibly fragile. Or unless it was like DTMG where they have stacking defense like in kits, right? Like some of those where you could kind of get away with it. But yeah, the double damage, if you go first, is going to be much better on defense on average, in my opinion. Just
It
because
is
you're
really
not.
interesting. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Finish.
Oh, just because you're getting most of the upside with as little of the downside as possible. And on offense, I think like for a good example of this would be like what do you call it? Star killer team, Stranger, right? If Bane's gonna one shot the whole team, regardless if you have your plus 50% defense or not, and what do you call it? Satil does true damage. So defense and offense would actually be good on this team because if you do get turns, boy howdy, are you gonna be hitting people really hard.
Yeah. One other element about it that's interesting in the wording, and I'm assuming the mechanics and game play out true to the wording, which I've played Sluggo long enough to know that I'm not on the most stable ground in that assumption. But if I am going to assume that's the case, what's really interesting too is that you get squads or possibly even so squads with either leaderships or uniques that provide defense up prior to a first turn, or a turn order where one character goes can provide some buff that increases the defense of another character, so such that that other character on their first turn has this hugely inflated defense. Then you're getting that conversion at inflated numbers, right? So you can assume a situation.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just
No,
gonna say, dust off Clone Wars Chewie lead, mod your team to be slow. They get hit, get defense up, and then they get to convert that into
I,
offense.
I think we had this conversation before. This feels like we relived this before, where it was the setup of what's the setup, the lead, the unique, and
totally.
then it applies at the time of the start of the. Or we've
The
done this
defense to
before.
offense is at the
Yeah.
start of their turn.
Yeah.
So if you can
Or
get them
with
to do something first to trigger a defense up, you get that
Like I
defense
have
up.
my Wookiees target my own Zalbar and attack him 5 times. And then no, I'm just kidding. But that's
Nice.
exactly what you want to
He's
be
like
able to
Tassenix, bro.
do. Is ramp like you would love to be able, or maybe it's just generating a bunch of counters into your Zalbar. So that by the time your Zalbar goes, what does he get? 20% defense each time he's hit or whatever. Yeah. Or Wookiees get, what is it? 50% defense anytime
Parfolds
somebody.
gives them stuff based on defense as well as Zelbar stacks his own defense.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
Yeah, and
as
yeah,
CJ said, we had
so
a,
the
we had a
process
really
point.
healthy conversation on this years ago. But so
Yeah.
younger me probably
Yeah.
knows how to answer this. But yeah.
But yeah, to Sasha's point, I expect that people who are willing to put in the work and be a lot cleverer than I will find ways to give their team's defense up when I attack into them with the defense and offense, and then I'll die. Like that's just my assumption is people are just gonna find that week one, or someone's gonna find it, and then that team is just gonna be a nightmare.
I expect that's what we're going to see. Yeah, everything we're going to see about it is that post one, which is why it lives in a world of wait and see what everybody's going to do, because then you're going to find that one right answer.
All right. Now, Fatal, it's been a little quiet from you over there. Plans about your own attackers? How are you embracing the attacker level 6 in terms of remods?
Yeah, I'm not really engaged in this Datacron or this sector of the Datacron. I like, yeah, sure, there's a roster scroll to be done of like, okay, how many teams have an attacker that starts with defense? But yeah, on average, I will still be running most of my teams with. Well, actually, frankly, I don't think I'll be using this that much at all. But the ones that do, I'm going to be running tank support.
Okay. Which tank abilities are you favoring?
Pretty much exclusively crit avoidance. Like the ability to block may be a sleeper in some respects,
I
but
was wondering about that, but yeah, okay, crit avoidance.
the context that people have talked about crit or the ability block is like you kind of see it, but I also feel like if you think it through, it's like people were talking about like ability block for like maybe ability block Morgan or whatever, and it's like yeah, but we're already kind of attacking Morgan with the grit that it's just like I don't know that we're kind of getting redundant on things that we're targeting there. Um, Yeah, I don't know. I'm very big on a more defensive, like, stalwart play style that, like, the set just doesn't really have much for me compared to, like, light side bulk plus defense and shit like that. Which, bulk doesn't really matter as much at different theory, but the point kind of still remains a lot of the time. And then B is just like, well, we still have some pretty good other Datacron sets live, and then I'm kind of also, my gut says the next two Datacron sets might also end up being preferable to this set as well. So yeah, I have fun with the crons. I have boatloads of materials. I will have stuff ready to go. But in terms of like putting elbow grease into it, not beyond just like actively monitoring trends and being like, okay, so we'll worry about the D to O. I still have my plans for like Ahsoka Grit. Not really worried about the rest right now, but I haven't sat down with the season yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do agree that I'm probably less gung ho on this set than the other two. I think the blue set's still the best set available. And I do think that the next set, which will have the Era FDCs, will also just be a good set because they CG is behoven to make like the Datacron set that accompanies it reasonably good. So the FDCs don't just be like, "Hello, we're the entire set. Go fuck yourself."
It feels like CG has developed a strategy of like, there's the Era and the Era event that gives insane payouts, and like certifiably that's the thing that you should be doing. And then on the side fringes, they have just been flooding as many normally irrelevant teams to try to be like, hey, you want to spend your relic materials on sortie droids, right? Hey, you want to spend your relic materials on Jawas and Tuskens, right? Hey, you want to spend your relic materials on Ugnaught and Ezra Bridger, right? And it's just like,
Nope.
Not really, man. Like, I don't know. If you're gonna do this, at least make it a defense team. But
Fair.
yeah, I don't know. I've just kind of been immune to that sort of draw-in.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I will definitely have less level 9. I'll have less cron. Even though it's a 3v3 set, I will have less of these crons, I think, than either of the last two sets. Because I suspect Fatal is right that the next two sets will be probably better than this one. The next set for sure will be better than this one.
Yeah, well,
And
I
yeah,
gotta say though, the word unspoken here is we have no problems on this show giving CG its lumps when we think that there's something that's not done well. But seriously, well done on scaling back the power of these roll crons. The fact that we're having conversations around the lines of, we're looking forward to how disruptive the sets after this are going to be to our use of these, and the fact that other existing Datacron sets still offer attractive options against it. That has largely not been the case historically when a roll cron set was available. So I appreciate that.
Also, the 3s and 6s are largely asymmetrical for the teams that they want to go on.
Yeah, there's very few healers. So yeah, the way they chose to tie this together, but it's okay. I'm not mad. All
I
right,
also
so
just like the cadence, new cadence. I've just not saying
yes.
fallen in love with, but I was skeptical at first, and now that we're, I don't know, 5 seasons into this, I'm a big fan. I like it.
Okay.
At
Turns
risk
over
of
quick. Sorry.
at risk of getting shot, I do have an opinion about this set that is, shall
Go
we
for
say,
it.
maybe possibly gonna get me shot.
Sharpen the pitchforks, lads.
Uh, so is this set healthier than the past Rollcron sets? Yeah. I am of the opinion that like the past Rollcron sets weren't entirely bad. There were always just some very sharp offenders that were out of league. I feel like the Rollcrons right now are like kind of too timid, where it's like, yeah, clearly like people have found like defense to offense for certain attacker teams that haven't had access to it previously, where it's like, this attacker starts with 10 billion defense and hits like Thanos. Is like, that's all fine and well. I don't think that's interesting either. And my gold standard, I think, for what I would point towards is like, what I feel like is wholesome roll crown fun is honestly the tank crown that has always run in the past. The one that's just like, yeah, your tank auto taunts when somebody gets debuffed and he assists. I'm not gonna say the tank assist was like never exploitable, but did anybody ever? Obviously, when Tankron was bugged and it was just like infinite protection refill, people had stronger opinions about that. But that to me is kind of what I'm looking for in terms of like, I feel like there's sauce there.
Tarkin's Scorch 2-man was fucking hilarious with that Kron. Because Scorch just always called Tarkin to assist to stack his defense and potency. It was just hilarious.
Sure.
The other thing is, too, I'm very kind of lukewarm on these roll crons because it's 3v3. And I was looking at the teams like, I'm going to be assigning this cron to this team, or this cron is likely going to be on this team. I'm just like, oh. Every cron is just like, I can do, oh. In 5v5, it'll be better, but we only get one 5v5 set out of this. One 5v5 season out of this. So that's the other reason why I'm a little bit less gung-ho on this set, is just that. You'll have less attackers on your team to take advantage of the defense and offense, et cetera, et cetera. The threes and sixes are less coordinated in threes, where you can actually like kind of maneuver them a little bit more in fives.
Fair.
So
I agree with the idea that these are, you could say, timid, especially compared to previous Rollcrons, but it almost feels like you have to hit Rollcrons with that kind of nerf bat to bring it in line with other sets, especially now that you have this cadence where we have 3 active sets. And you can't have this one be the standout. They get all their money and all their sales on this one, and then the next 2 sets after it, people are like, I'm good.
So that may be. All I'm asking for or saying here is like, if there's like a lever and one side of the lever, or I guess slider dial, whatever,
Gauge.
right?
Yeah, we got a gauge.
Left side is A, right side is B. If left side is, hey, you print infinite damage and one shot the entire mini team, and B is defense to offense, I'm saying like slide it back in the other direction by like 50 to 20%.
Sure.
Like, don't overdo it. Like, caution here is appreciated. But if we can find a healthy balance, I think that would be the ideal. Just, I want a little bit of sauce. I don't want a soup. Just a little bit of sauce.
Okay. I hear you.
Yeah, the first time we had roll crons, they were kind of better than most everything else you were doing. But I remember not using roll crons on every team. And then the second time they did roll crons, the other sets around it were all kind of like not good. So they just were so ubiquitous.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of what Fatal. Correct me if I'm wrong, Fatal, but that's what you kind of alluded to earlier. Was I don't think that the last time we did roll crons themselves were the biggest problem. I think the problem was that they powered down the sets before it, and then they knee-jerked into this new system. Maybe not knee-jerk, but then they transitioned into this new system where the crons were just nerfed in general. So we just ended up having a bunch of months where these crons were just oppressive.
I guess I'll be the other way. Set 25 wasn't that oppressive to me. There was a stronger candidate than most. And on this very team, there was Fatal wanting to do support with that setup too. What blew up that setup was CG's response to what they thought was a big problem that we had already solved for. Oh, Ray's going to have this on it. Well, we've already got a solution for it. We already know what we're going to do. We already had teams lined up. We knew what it was going to be. Yes, they may have done one thing, but that set 25, the roles are fun to do. So I don't care if I'm shot because that's exactly how I feel about it.
The
This
attacker
setup
level
is,
6 was cracked, and then they nerfed it, and then they fucked up the
but
nerf.
that's we had we solved.
Enough
But
with the
that's
memory
okay.
lane. Somebody is going to get shot if we spend too much more time here before we get.
Anyway, I still like to try it and see where it's at. I think they're finally set up. I'm honestly more fun to want to see the combination of the support and tank than what we know is going to happen with the attacker. We know our attackers. We know what we're going to do.
By the way, we can just say this is our transition into talking about the datacrons that we're prioritizing here from this new set for week 1. So, we've already said, there's a strong case for getting yourself a good handful of both the defense to offense and the 100% added damage when at full health as far as attacker crons go. But you were just... what?
Sorry. I said you only need like 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say it. At 25, we did this too. I would like a 6 and 6, but I swing wide for what I'm trying to do.
So,
That's my
so
end
when I
goal. Maybe
say a
not week one.
handful, and we're hearing between 2 and 6, we're talking about somebody that plays with fireworks and somebody that plays in the ooze that mutated the turtles. So
Yeah,
yeah, between 2 and 6. Okay,
that's yeah.
but yeah, like outside of those attacker crons, let's throw it back over to you, TJ. So tank and
Okay.
support, what combos are you looking forward to? Is this on a handful of teams? Is this to take advantage of just a couple of the level 9s? What are you thinking?
The nines are just okay. Obviously, the Ugnaught. I am highly interested to see what the three's going to do because it reads like you have to go back. Oh, tactical genius. Oh, where's that? Oh, that's Admiral Akbar. Oh, we need to go look at, backup plan. Oh, we're in Phoenix. Oh, we're looking at dramatic entrance. Oh, there's, so it's like everywhere you have is a tool and you basically need to pull up Swigo to say, okay. And that's where I was talking about the most fun piece here is, do you really just make him go super fast? Which the goal of the team is they have to start. And once they actually start, they're off and running. That's the control mechanism, right? They even put out the nice little add-in of at the very end. As long as they're on offense, we're going to give you 50 more percent evasion. So it's even more fun depending on if there's a galactic collision or not. So the variety of what this team is going to be, we know the three that are there, they've locked it in. But this with grit and then making sure that the team gets to just sit there and take the hits, right? Because yes, you have a backup plan, but historically, look at all of the characters. I think I'm trying to push, and you're talking super fast. I'm at 300. A number like 300 in a world where there's D Team Gs, or you're talking 360s and 370s, and my characters are blowing out at 172nd speed, and they're at 320 or something ridiculous. They have to
So wait,
actually
you're
go.
saying you have your Ugnaught modded at 300 speed?
I'm doing it about 300 or something like that.
Okay.
Like to me, it's not necessarily about just make him go fast, which is funny enough to me to say because I had like an absorbent amount, but it's more along the lines of locking my team in the right order so that once they do make a move, they're just going to fly and they're going to be all over the place. And
Sure.
tying in, if you look at Ezra's kit, he's giving support 40% turn meter. That's lying in. And guess what? Both of your folks are supports that are going to
Right.
do the assisting. So
Yeah,
that
because
play of, but
no, I was gonna say like the speed makes sense, just for maximizing Ugnaught doing anything, which is gonna cause all those assists, right? Um,
he
but
definitely wants to be out in front, and I want folks right behind. But this is one where I feel like
300 isn't that fast in the modern game though. So I was gonna say,
No, but it's like plus no, but it's like
isn't
plus
that what Hondo's
170.
for? Hondo's
But that's like
paving the
plus
way.
but that's like plus 170 on him. He's
that's
like
the same.
basically like
Not
130.
is
Yeah, he's kind
literally
of a bun slow character, but the point that I
that's
was making is like, sure, making him fast to take advantage of his level 9 ability as often as possible. That checks out. But OG Hondo's still more or less kicking you off, right? He's kicking you off, locking somebody down.
he gets to do that with other scoundrels. Who else is
Yeah,
a
he gets
scoundrel on the team?
25% from
Right.
other
So what are
scoundrels.
you
Yeah.
talking about? So
He
that's
doesn't
again,
he doesn't
There's
go
no other
first. He doesn't get 25% from either teammate.
that's what I'm saying. He's not, this is not the push for that. So what I'm looking for
That's
is
why you
I'm trying
have
to
the
keep
evasion
everybody.
then.
This team is what I'm trying to lock in on of saying I want a 15 speed check. And what I mean by that is I want them to be close enough that once it does go, you loop. And so I do want Ugnaught out there. And then I want Ezra right behind because he's going to push the TM back to the other side. And then I want no more than 10 to 15 speed towards, because I'm at usually 280, but now I'm pushing up to 290 because I want him close to Ezra. And I want Ezra right behind my Ugnaught,
Hmm.
pushing the damage for the setup. These are important because once you go, depending on who you're facing, that's it. You've looped them and you can control the rest of the fight
Well,
because you
if
have the
you're taking the
fractures, you have
speed on
everything else.
offense, getting the speed high on the team in general, getting the clocking tight in general, I'm sure is all well and good. But aren't we cheesing anyway because they're going to have a 100% evasion on offense?
Non-GL, 50% against.
Non G against no GL. Fair enough.
Right,
So
right.
you have
That's
your eye on fighting GLs.
if I can, yeah, because I think it's fun. Like I said, I love the idea of all of these mechanics being put in and then understanding where it's at. And then I loved Ezra back in the day. Dagger. me, you, and Tass were having a fight. It was a verbal altercation on who's the right fifth on the Phoenix team, and I'm over here screaming out for Ezra, or I'm screaming out
Oh, you were
for
trying to argue
Zeb.
Zeb. I remember you were
But
trying
you
to
see
argue
my
Zeb.
point? So, but Ezra
I
was a
said
lot of
Sabine,
fun.
Tass said Ezra, and you said Zeb.
But that's what I mean. But that's where I Ezra was a lot of fun for me back then, with getting to do the middle and then the push for the damage.
Yeah.
But now it's actually working for the 40% TM off of his kit on top of the frenzy. So that's kind of why I'm like, oh man, this feels like it's always sunny. All right, you want this and this, and which is going to be the right one?
Sure. So, other level 9s that you're excited about, since we're got you just going a mile a minute. You got a lot to say right now. What other level 9s you into?
I love kits. I love kit DCs just from the idea of getting to play it. So other level 9s, I would love, and I'm going to do this for Sasha. I would love to see a Tarful be great. That would be a lot of fun to see the dynamic with the setup and where it gets to play again. Crit avoidance or whatever we're doing would be a lot of fun.
You and me both, bud. You and me both.
I know what you're thinking. I don't want to steal your thunder, but if we're looking specifically level 9s, I go back to, again, the Cobb versus the Nebbit. And the only reason I go back to the other piece of it is there's a lot of words in the Cobb side, but you only get 3 characters. And if one is going to be a tank and the other is going to be a support, I could see a lot of word where you're going to do Cup, like Dagger said. Him having a lot of grit or whatever else might keep them alive a lot longer. And Cobb likes to be around to play the game. So I think those are the biggest ones I want to take away, which is why I'm actually more a fan, because there are a lot of good ones, of the support and the tank. PKH, doing a lot of fun would be that. But if we're looking specifically at the 9s,
No. I
I
mean,
like the 3 and the 6 more.
you are clearly remembering the whole question I asked you. I was just trying to draw you to the next thing. But yeah, if you've already mentioned the 9s that you're most interested in, let's talk more about how you want to get more out of these 3-6 combos on other teams. So on PKH, what are we dealing with here?
It's the same thing. You still get to work the grit, and it's still the crit avoidance, because Vayne.
Okay.
It's Retribution doesn't do a lot. Ability block is fun, but it was a lot more detrimental, and I think it'd have a lot more effect in 5s than in 3s. But crit avoidance, hitting a sticky tank, Quiggled is gonna love this. There's just so many like sticky, actually good tanks that are gonna be a lot of work. And then just the attacker side of it, Bad Batch, I think would be a lot of fun as well, because they get to stay whole pretty well. And Wrecker would absolutely love that setup. He's already one of the most durable tanks in the game. I think partially top. I think yours is like top 5 or whatever. I know Fate already has it, but one of the top R10 tanks in the game. And now you can't kill him. That's going to be a gross setup for whatever you're trying to face.
Fair.
Some people are worried about, like, well, if he's not getting crit, he's not stacking defense, but like, in my experience, the majority of matchups that he's going into, he's getting hit with unresistible debuffs anyway. That, like, yeah, there's like the Soldier Fortune matches or stacks can go crazy in matches with like JMK or whatever, but on average, like the matches that I'm really trying to use them for, he's not keeping that anyway, so I wouldn't really worry about that aspect. I've heard that from a couple of places, but yeah, my opinion.
It's just it.
Yeah,
That's.
I mean, the thing is though, like the level, like the. I'm not to step on TJ's toes here, because I don't know if he was done or not.
Oh, I wasn't, but it's all right. It's. I like the topic though, so it's good. I want everybody to chime in.
I just wanted to get my. I don't want to say get myself heard here, because I usually don't have a problem talking.
I was going to go with the who's next after TJ was done, but
no,
get in where you fit in.
Sorry, no. I was just saying, like the biggest thing that I don't excited is not the right word, but the biggest thing I've been focusing on. The only real level 9 I even cared about for week 1 was Jar Jar. By the end, I think the only 3 level 9s I really care about are Jar Jar, Ugnaught, and Meebit. But outside of those level 9s, on defense, that double damage level 6 for attackers is just going to be really good on a bunch of just some filler-ish teams at stripping banners, whereas the defense into offense probably matters a lot less, just overall. So, I mean, I think that level 6 is going to be much better than I think I'm not saying that defense offense is bad. I'm just saying, like, if you're setting something on defense, I would much rather prefer the double damage or
Yeah, that's
the
intuitive.
or the 10% max health, which you're going to want 2 to 3 of.
Sure.
So when you start boiling down what you're looking for, and I want maybe up to 4 of the defense into offense, but I definitely want like 2 to 3 of the 10% and 3 to 4 of the double damage. I probably want almost more support crons than I do attacker crons to a degree. Not for 3v3 specifically, but just because I think the tank cron is better than the healer cron.
Healer is such poop, man.
Yeah.
You won't hear me talking about it. It's attached to like one of the better setups with attacker, but I think they had to do it. That's why I keep calling out. I think the support and the tank as well, and that's where my mind wanders to those teams. But yeah, because it's just like those are
Yeah.
equitable, right?
The thing that's holding me back from like going gangbusters on attacker crons is that the level 3 are going to be a brick on like everything but basically BKM, I think. Because IG Grogu's because IG 90's IG 80, whatever it is, the Grogu idiot's a healer, right? So I think that's like one of the only attacker teams that's going to get use out of a healer until the comments tell me about the other 37 teams that have a healer.
Yeah, but good healer.
And look, I'm just saying I'm going to get corrected in the comments for saying that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's why I'm more focused on the support because I think the tank level 3s are pretty good. Like Fatal said, the crit avoidance one's really good.
Yeah.
The ability block one's okay. What was the other one? There was another one
What
that
about
Retribution is there.
Yeah, the Retribution.
What about
Really liked
Retribution for
Retribution.
Gungan failing? What do you think about that? Because what do I care about him having a crit avoidance? You know, but if we're not already trending like we're gonna win before the generator goes down, the hell do I care?
I could just
I
still
did,
see it being ability block. Just put
I did,
out the
I did
thing because
ability.
that would stack it.
Yeah, I did ability block on the level 3.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I went with ability block.
Yeah, because it's like defense down in days, something like that on Phalanx Basic. Just seems like it'd be nice to abuse.
I'm going to be primarily using this team on offense, I think. So Tarples won't even really be on the team.
Fair.
Sorry, not Tarples. Phalanx won't be on the team
Phalanx.
because of Tarples.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, if I set this on defense, maybe I make a second one before this is over with Retribution for like what you said. But yeah, I'm much more interested in these like tank crons than I am the attacker crons. Not because I think the attacker crons are bad, but just because I think there are more teams in 3v3 that have a tank that benefits from crit avoidance or ability block. Or what was the other one? I have to go in game real quick to see.
Retribution, perhaps. I don't know.
I think it's just those three when it comes down to tank, man. It's really crit avoidance,
Yeah, the
retribution, or the ability block.
Yeah. Just because you have. Yeah, sorry.
No. Finish up, Tiger. I'll go after you, bud.
Oh, I was saying you have things like Zalbar too. Zalbar's retribution, like locked retribution. So even if you dispel it, there's a bunch of things that I think are really cool with that. Not saying that you're ever gonna. I mean, you're gonna put the attacker level 6 on Lord Vader, but I really think it'd be interesting if you like tried the old Royal Guard. There's a part of me in my head that wants to put like the Royal Guard version, so he just like pokes you to death with his retribution stun thing. Because I remember back in the day when I just wanted to like throw my phone, the Royal Guard just like stun locking me. And I have a feeling like Quiggled with that would be really obnoxious. Quiggled with retribution.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, I took Quiggled to R10 for this season.
Yeah.
Maybe I get something out of that. But yeah, there's a bunch of really good tanks. Giving Leia retribution is good too.
Yeah, that could be a little noxious.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the crit avoidance.
Yeah, or that. I don't find myself like being scared of being crit when I use Leia, but I do take your point.
Well, of all the tanks you mentioned, you know, like actually having the ability block on somebody who can ignore taunt full time.
That's good.
And pull priority targets out of stealth. Kind of like that too.
Yeah. Wrecker's another good one, good tank. Mercenary Wrecker because he dispels on basic. Give him retribution.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I find myself much more interested in the tank support crons, but yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I said earlier that I'm not as focused on the defense and offense level 6 because I'm probably going to end up with like 8 attacker crons and like 10 support crons from this set. And there's going to have to be a distribution for all the different level 6s.
Yeah, no doubt. So, Sasha, how about you? What are you thinking about here for your priority crons for this week? The level 9s you had to get, the 3s and 6s you're excited about. Just what's coming to mind for you for getting this set rolling this week?
Sure. Like my primary thought was I want to make sure I get an Ugnaughton. I want to make sure I have something for Cobb Vanth, and Cobb Vanth and 5s, as you saw in the match that you and I had. I liked using Nebbit. I'm not sure it's going to be optimal for 3s. I may throw it in there because it's fun for survivability purposes, but Cobb loses quite a bit if you pull the marshal or constable supports off of them. But obviously the Ugnaughton. And then there aren't a ton that are like must-haves for me. There are a number that have interesting potential. I mean, everything from the Batcher opponent can't gain turn meter is interesting, maybe a little more interesting for me in 5s than in 3s, but still a little interesting. The Ewoks and Tarful, both of them, God bless them, but I suspect they're probably fool's gold. Not that I'm not going to try Tarful, TJ. I will probably throw them out at some point, because I like the concept a lot, and I actually think that. That level 9 for Tarful is really interesting. Bulwark is 150% defense per stack, and then you can get their generally you're going to have a composition of Wookiees, or at least 2 of them, with the Chewie / Hoda plus Tarful being support. 2 of them are going to have grid on there, so that could be interesting. But I guess maybe I've just been let down enough by Wookiees to not be overly confident in it. But yeah, I will still I'll chase that dragon. Then the other thing I was going to do is just make sure I have that sort of breadth of coverage on rolls, very similar to what Dagger had laid out, like in terms of like the quantity for different types. And one thing I was going to say is like, I I do like out of all 4 of the different roles, I like the attacker added damage the most. It's just I'm probably going to end up with a little more tank and support, or at least. Um, a closer amount of those to attacker than I otherwise would, just because out of those 4 roles, one of those is not like the others, right? The healers just don't play. One, there just aren't as many healers in the game. And I know we've talked about this before, and TJ's mentioned, I think by design, I think it makes sense. But so you end up with one of those roles just being, I don't think the mechanics on that level 3 are all that impactful. And then, I mean, maybe more important than that, they're not generally applied to some of the most impactful characters in the game. So you're left with really, okay, what is my level 6 attacker? Whereas, I think tank and support is interesting, is definitely interesting. And one thing I was going to call out, particularly for 3s versus 5s, is the added value of the ability block for tanks. I really would generally prioritize the crit avoidance. I think that's quite nice to have 100% crit avoidance for 2 turns whenever you're crit, except the ability block in 3s has a nice element in that while it's limited to only if no other opponent is ability blocked, it applies it once. Applying it to one character in 3s is more impactful than applying it to one character in 5s. Yeah, it's 33% versus 20%, but you also have that element that sometimes squads that come in 3v3 aren't sort of the full built out, hey, they have a tank that's always taunting, have somebody that's going to be absorbing that ability block, who isn't the most impactful engine of the opposing team. Sometimes they're just out in the open, and you get a tank that's countering and ability blocking somebody the opponent really doesn't want to have ability blocked. So it's a possibility.
Teams also usually drop their most utility. A lot of the times, teams will also drop a utility character from their team who would be like a cleanse or something like that as well, that could unlock said thing. But like you said, I don't remember if this was said during the break or during the podcast already, but yeah, I find myself using more tanks in 3v3.
In 3s.
And that's like my intuition, like you kind of said too. Just my intuition is telling me that I need the tank because the healer sucks.
Yeah, and I have like Dagger and I were talking about it. Like I've been throwing our 10s on tanks over the last months and months. And I do find it way more useful in threes. And like one of the ones that I'm curious to see if it gets extra mileage is like I threw an R10 a few weeks ago on Crew. And Crew, obviously R10 is just wonderful for tanks in terms of the stat increase, but he has that 8% health regeneration that comes from his unique. And it can be a particularly or surprisingly annoying character. I've taken my Malgus and my Malik up to R10.
I just did Malgus
Um,
well.
yeah. I tend to be a fan of that. And whether it is with the ability block or with the crit avoidance, it's just in three. Sometimes the tanks are nice there. The only other thing that I'll add in is like again that sort of tantalizing, maybe fool's gold element is like in general, I tend to be pretty impressed with what CG does on abilities, new character kits, particularly in this broad, complex, web of units and abilities that are existing in the game and introducing everything in. Like I look at the Talia thing, and I don't think I'm going to be able to use the Talia R9. I really don't. But it's pretty darn cool. Like again, they're just writing these things in a way where, like, if I was in a different state of my roster, like if it wasn't, or if the board were huge, right? Like if there was just a ton of space to use.
Oh yeah.
I look at that and I'm like, that's a really cool mechanic to add in to Night Sisters and like revitalize Talzin. And so there's a lot of stuff that I find yeah, like I said, tantalizing. So I think it's a
Yeah.
cool set. I'm not saying it's a like monumentally impactful set. I agree it's nowhere near as impactful as like a light side deck with defense on it. Like it can be bludgeoned down. I think these mechanics are unlikely to beat the just sheer robust power of the Galactic Republic set. But I like a lot of elements out of it. It's the kind of stuff that I take joy from those possibilities, even if one, they don't necessarily play out in my competitive matches, and two, I don't get a ton of competitive matches. So I'm just taking theoretical joy out of them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. When I saw the Talia level 9, I was like, man, if Talzin was usable, this would be awesome.
I know.
Also, they're one of the few teams that has a functional fucking healer.
Yeah, right. The Jar Jar one is really cool. If the Jar Jar one,
Yeah.
what's fascinating too is I think that's probably going to be superseded by overpowered attacker. But the Jar Jar, which comes with support, is really pretty cool too.
I
So
really like
yeah,
that one on offense in threes. I don't know if it might be different in fives, but I really like the Jar Jar Crown on threes in threes on offense.
mm,
Because, yeah, anyways.
Mhm.
Because the tank Kron. Yeah, the other thing is too,
yep,
like, it's just rough. I don't know. Healer sucks. The
it
four
does.
usable healers in this game, of which Hoda is not one of them.
True. Fatal, how about you? What have you prioritized here for week one? Relic nines, rolls, what have you?
I mean, I'll grab a couple Dudo. I'll grab a handful of, EA 6 plus probably support grit. I don't know. I like kind of with most sets, my main focus is just kind of on filling out good stat pools. So like, got some protection crowns. Cool. Got some crit damage crowns. Cool. I'll probably try to pair that with like support bonus turn on kill for in case Queen Amidala doesn't get a decent data crown to transition to. I don't know. It's kind of mostly, every Datacron set you have to treat not knowing what the future might hold. That like you need to make sure you have some minimums that. I'm kind of just. It feels like increasingly we're entering an era where there's a lot of teams. There was always like, hey, you gotta get your JML cron or whatever, right? And like I always liked having my Queen Amidala crons. It's like, well, you gotta have your Satil cron, and that's just like starting to grow out now. I feel like more and more teams are gonna start having that. That it feels like more and more Datacron sets are just kind of about hitting that for like, well, ISV's got to have their health cron. And it's like, all right, I just need to like make a physical list at some point. Like all the core due diligences to cover.
And the good thing about those crons is that they're almost always portable to other teams too.
Yeah, it's like I feel like the crowns that I'm going to be farming are going to be to answer questions that I haven't had to solve yet. With like, we have Cassian crowns still, right?
Yes, sir.
The
Yeah, for the Super 3.
yes, we still have the FD.
Yeah, so it's like whether or not he's going to do the specific style of crown in the future is like kind of up in the air. But yeah, I don't know. I'm playing it very reserved and very safe this set.
Sure. All right. Let's see here. Agenda wise, yeah. Are there any other teams that we hadn't mentioned so far? You know that you're excited here. Give a shot at week one. Just want to make sure we give a little floor space to that.
Cobb's still going to be mediocre, so no.
Covered my ground.
Yeah. TJ Fatal.
Okay.
The only other one I want to look at is just I think Java is going to be a lot of fun with it as well, just because that's a killer tank with a good support.
Very good. All right. Let's move right on into the patron question, guys. First one here from Ploon. Will Tassenix get a real round one opponent finally? Yeah, it's last couple seasons been a plague. Round one, like week one, round one, if not round two as well, have been erodiums. Hoping to break that. But then you actually do have a real question here. Will Cobb Vance be useful at all in threes, or are his kit mechanics making him unusable since I believe he requires two constables? Will his Datacron change that? Well, no, I don't think that his kit only works in fives without a Datacron. I just think that it's just an enhanced version of the team. Uh, you get bonuses for constables that are constables at the start of battle, which Jawas are not. But you're only probably bringing Nebbit if you're bringing a Jawa, and then you turn him into a constable, and then he gets the rest of the stuff. So that would work anyway. But it's up to you whether or not you want to go with the Nebbit level 9 that Sasha featured in our round at the end of last season, or if you want to run the Cobb Vanth 9. My suspicion, and I wonder what you think about this, Sasha, but I feel like here in threes is hands down going to be the favorite on offense because if you're taking it against a team that's going to be outlaw anyway, you are just going to be flying through the high noon. And if you wanted to go after a team that wasn't naturally going to be outlaw, you have, you're picking the fight. So presumably, that you have the time to just get it done. But being able to turn them one by one into outlaws is pretty crazy. What do you think?
Yeah, I haven't really I haven't looked at it and at least made a decision on it, but um it does feel like it's hard to get rid of both of the support constables. So like my inclination would be even if I kept like Nebbit, I wouldn't have Scavenger, and losing Scavenger from Nebbit, I don't know. There's a little bit of me that dies inside when that happens. So it's a bit torn, but what I suspect I'd probably end up doing is if I'm using it on offense, probably having both the constable supports with Cobb Vanth and it taking a matchup that I'm really pretty confident in. And being able to like DPS it down pretty quickly. But if I were to set it on defense, I would probably set it with the Nebbit cron and set it with Nebbit and cut.
Yeah, I think he's almost exclusively on Jabba duty for me. And even then, like, I think the Datacron kind of makes up for his a little bit lack of oomph in threes. Um, So maybe like Sasha said, if he's on Jabba duty, then it's probably just the two light side. Then it's probably just Cup and Lobot, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, we've seen here from 5 vs. 5 that if you get it down to just Jabba, he will. If for any reason it got to him using ultimate, there's no reason he will necessarily target Cobb. He may just target one of the sides anyway. And to your point, Sasha, if you're picking fights that you know you're going to end pretty quickly, or at least have it, lopsidedly on your side quickly, then, your two supports being marked for basically a turn, I guess, is something that you could exploit. Yeah. They wouldn't be able to focus him down early, super early.
Yeah, at the same time, it may cost you banners too. But
Yeah.
that's an interesting one.
I will say though that I'm a little disappointed in the Cobb Cron because I would have liked to see. I don't want to say more power. That might not be the right word. I would have liked to see a mechanic that made the team do something it didn't already do. I don't know. I'm like Cobb is just one of those teams for me where I'm like, oh, I get to beat a team that you probably shouldn't have set on defense or Jabba, and if he ults me, I die. I time out. And those are like the two options I have for him. I don't know. At least I'm talking about threes. In fives, he might have more utility with that level 9, but in threes, I just don't feel like there's a lot of utility. Just because his character pool you have to use him with, he really wants the light side. He really wants the constables, but he also really wants a tank.
Yep. Fair enough. Anybody else had something to chime in there about thoughts on using Cobb in threes with whichever Chrome? All right. Next question from Richie Fridge. The attacker debuffs 10% bonus. Did you all test this in Squad Arena? It has a lot of uses. I've known the infographics. Don't list them. Just wondering your thoughts on other teams to use them with. So yeah, Lord Vader's the obvious favorite. Who else are you guys really looking at to take advantage of that debuffs attacker level 6?
And you could do Hondo if you didn't want to do Grit.
You could do Jabba, and Bausch.
In-
Bausch does a lot with it.
Inquisitors with a Purge. Afra,
Afra's a good one.
Malgus, Bounty Hunters, Great Mothers, Treya, DVDE.
Yeah, lots of debuffs. Yeah, I mean, you're thinking about characters that can do at least one debuff to everybody on the enemy team, which is going to be nice. That's fair.
Well, for Treya, not so much. She puts on debuffs, but they're not attackers, so I digress.
Yeah, exactly. It
But-
needs to be
but-
attackers.
Right. Yeah, you beat me to it.
Yeah,
There
but
you go.
Mara Jade is an attacker, so that's fun.
Yeah. All right. Fair. Good thinking
But, like,
ahead
yeah.
for when we lose the Sith Crumb.
I might even. It depends on what you're doing, but I mean, it might be better than the Sith Cron now ish, depending on matchups.
Doubt.
But I don't think people are really saving that for offense. But yeah, Bounty Hunters are good. You probably even DTMG because no Scout Troopers is support. I lied. But yeah, there's like I said, I want 2 to 3 of those level 6s because I think they're going to outshine. I think the damage for those is going to outshine both of the other damage level 6s in the matchups where.
Okay.
Like BT1's going to take a turn and the entire other team is going to die.
All right. Next, sorry, anybody else had something to say on the 10%? Okay. Ugnaught data
Well,
crop
use comp, I
doesn't
will
seem
say
as
I've-
powerful as it reads.
Okay,
Now,
hang on, Tass.
What's
Hang
the
on.
fatal?
Fatal's got one.
I was just gonna say, especially in conversations about like, BKM defense offense seems hyped up. LV obvious candidate. I would just say don't necessarily assume that clones have to be there. I mean, with LV causing this much early pressure, like, I mean, surely a team like LV Mom Malikos with the deepest offense would be pretty much impossible for BKM to be, for example. It just some old classics could definitely possibly return.
Okay. Fair. Glad we got that in. Uh, the next one here from Richie Fritch is on the Ugnaught Datacron. It doesn't seem as powerful as it reads. Now, I'm sure I'm only testing here in Squad Arena and it's against GL, so not everything active. Have you all tested it, and what are your thoughts on the Ugnaught Datacron? It's, just one of the most overtuned level 9 abilities you could imagine, which you pretty much have to do to make such ancient kits. Well, at least 2 out of the 3 characters. Um, have relevance in the modern game, and it looks like it's probably the standout, most fun level 9 of the set. What say the rest of you guys?
If they don't have unavoidable attacks and there's no GL, you hit auto and walk away.
Power.
It's going to be fun to just beat the shit out of whatever team that doesn't have unavoidable attacks for GL. I don't want to fight you, so I'm going to put in this team that you can't fight. Fuck you.
There are a decent amount of teams that can kind of cut their way through that, with exceptions where they have like irresistible stuns, and then suddenly every attack is unavoidable, or they've got fracture, or they've got but yeah, I haven't used it in GAC, but I've been pretty impressed with it, with the grit cron in just squad arena. I've used it to auto LV squads, and I think if the LV squad is super thick, very well relicked, maybe you don't get through there in 5 minutes. But I'm pretty impressed generally with the way that Ugnaught squad plays out.
Wow, it's good to hear that there is some GL upside. I'm a little less
Possibly, yeah,
optimistic in 3s.
yeah.
All right. Next question here from Supermar. Initial thoughts on modding and Omicron order for Fabio the Hutt. Yeah.
All of the Omicrons.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm well prepared to have all of them off rip, but as far as mod set go, I want to say it was going to be offense, and then I hadn't really considered what the 2 piece is going to be till I've got the character in hand.
Pretty
Probably. Sorry.
Please.
I pretty firmly believe that the answer depends entirely on what matchup that you're going to be doing, because there's going to be some matchups where you have to fight for your life, and there's going to be some matchups where you have to fight to not time out. And so, like, I would really get a good sense for what Rada's like potential squads that he can kill is. Decide which one sounds most valuable to you. Look at how people are fighting and say, like, okay, does it look like he's almost dying, or does it look like he's almost timing out? And then that should inform, like, okay, am I thinking of a damage set? Am I looking at defense secondaries or offense secondaries? Like, yeah, I think Rada will be able to kill a great deal of teams, and I think almost all of them can probably block him in the process if they actively make efforts to, like, check him on, like, you can check Rada by, like, being too tanky. You can check Rada by being too lethal, right? It's like the pendulum swings both ways. And so definitely I think in week 3, there's going to be a large sit down for me of, like, okay, look at each matchup that I'm worried about him individually, and then be like, what's my strategy here to, like, shut him down? And then from the flip side, it's like, okay, what am I mean, we're talking about what Datacrons you farm. Rada is going to be the type of character who pretty much always will need a spec Datacron for, like, kind of like grandmothers, right? Like, if this is a timeout matchup, it's like, okay, I need a 120% crit damage matchup so that I won't time out in my Java counter or whatever, random example, right? I think he'll be very sensitive in that respect.
See. Just looking at the Omicrons here, my guess would be to do the unique Bedunki Mufkin, then Showboat, then Knock 'em Dead, if I had to guess?
I was going to give an answer similar to Fatal, where it probably depends. I'll probably initially put mine in like a generic, like either speed or offense set with good. If it's an offense set, good like defense secondaries and where I can, or if it's a speed set, some bulk like health, prot, crit damage triangle.
Is
That's
he
probably
going
where
to
I'll
be a
start.
fast character, by the way? Is he a strong candidate for a speed set?
I think
Yeah,
he gets a lot of free turn meter, and he does take a lot of turns.
Sure.
well, his base speed's like 210, isn't it? Like his base speed's like really high.
Okay.
Like my level 125 Rod of the Hut is 196. Is that at year 13? Hold on, let me check and see if that's. Yeah, so his base speed's 196, it looks like. So, yeah. If you were looking for a speed set, he is probably, what is he? One of the 10 fastest characters in the game? Something like that.
Okay.
15 fastest?
Any other thoughts somebody wanted to add here on early modding Barada? Okay. Next
It's going to be
question.
rare, but keep an eye on his potency, because I really wish I had taken notes on this, but one of my initial thoughts in the past is I had an idea for at least one matchup where Tenacity actually might be a pain in the ass for him, but I would have to reconsult the scrolls and figure out what the heck I was thinking.
And he's not getting any other potency elsewhere, does he? Because his potency is base is abysmal, like 13%.
I want to say there's more to it than that. I honestly just need to we're still 2 weeks out. It's like not
Yeah,
like it's a week one issue, but there's some stuff happening there, and I need to remember what the details were.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that. Next question up from Wilco. How to beat Lord Vader with the debuffs 10% on defense? I know a lot of folks are putting their stock into BKM. What I've heard on the street is, BKM, Bam, Grogu. You'll take the stats level 3 healer because it's Grogu's one of the few characters that actually has 2 ally targeting specials. You've got call it you've got the defense to offense that we discussed earlier on the attacker. And then a lot of folks I'm hearing are planning on going with a high prot stack to give your team as much resistance as possible. Probably on the non BKM characters, putting at least a protection circle, right? And just trying to endure until you get that pop off, and the rest takes care of itself. What do you guys think on that?
The Teal and Bane should still work.
Sure.
Yeah, but they're cheating.
I mean, they will work. DJ, Sasha, thoughts on that?
Support has grit, so that's a 10% math health damage to a person with grit. And I know somebody who loves Sith to the point of making him go poop. So I don't know if Maz doesn't mess it up. You're not going to have a tank or anything like that back if you don't do the Quiggle, or if you're not going to do the setup. Smee's been able to take it before. Grid avoidance setup for Quiggle would be nice. So it's like I could see a couple different ways this works, but I think all the same stuff is still going to do what it's working through.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think one of the problems is that takes Hondo, and then you lose your Ugnaught team.
I think Smee can do it. That just personally, I think
That's
if you
fair.
want to do it this way, yeah, I think there's an ability
Smee's
there
just going to
that
get
I think.
melted, though, with that 10%.
Yeah, without grit is tough.
Yeah, because Smee almost dies every fight anyways in that matchup. Without the 10, with the 2%, Smee
It could
gets to like
be.
the red.
It could be no Quiggle. It could just be kicks, and then
Yeah, that's true.
for the seventh
Silvo,
to come back.
you could do kicks and
That's
Silvo, right? I
I've
guess
always
kicks is a
I've
healer. Yeah.
personally always faced towards Hondo or Smee, but it always goes with kicks. And if you can't kill Maz, you're still in the fight. So I just
Mhm.
it's something worth looking at and testing. But her being able to sit around is not good for Sith. And so anything that's going to work like that, and she has a great kit and a great team to push it. It's just there's a lot of room to mess with that.
So that is true, because if she doesn't die, if you have infinite time to beat Lord Vader in threes, I believe in
Yeah,
Maz.
yeah. It's just like, oh, they're dead. Well, that was fun.
You just got to be careful with Quiggold.
I think I call Quiggle too quick. I think it may be more towards the kicks. That's generally how I've fought the fight and felt pretty good.
Well, I was thinking kicks
Um,
Quiggold.
oh, I was thinking kick Smee. You
Yeah,
talk
yeah, I
about
don't.
the ability
Yeah,
to
I
come
already
back.
said I don't like Smee there.
The other one may
And you
just
can use
be
him. I'm just saying I would probably. Anyways, I agree that I think Maz probably.
yeah, but that's I think where we're at. If you want me to stick without the whole Satil's still gonna just push it in.
That's got to be the riskiest of any of these that we've talked about, though.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Maz is that much riskier than BKM.
See?
What happens when your team just fucking dies?
Yeah, that's what the aforementioned prot stack was for.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But
All
then you
right.
get a lot less defense, but whatever. That's fine.
The second question here from Wilco. Now, Ugnaughtkron on offense or possibly on defense. It looks like a lot of fun. So we've already talked ad nauseum about the use of it on offense. That's probably the standout way because you either get 50% if you're fighting a GL team or 100% evasion if you are not fighting a GL team on offense. Putting it on defense is, I don't know, maybe it stopped something. I wonder if it doesn't just crash to Malgus though. If I start getting you
I
in a fear lock or something, doesn't that kind of take care of you?
I I could see no ability to hide anybody. And you just make sure you take care of Hondo first. You have no way to direct, and he's not getting 100% turn meter to lock somebody out and keep him hidden. Um, I can think of a number of, again, unavoidable attacks. We have plenty of characters in the game that way. You get to control the team pretty readily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, would not set.
No other dissenting opinions on that?
This is a team that TG, you're gonna love this. This is a team that FOTP Omi might beat because you just take crew.
But again, yeah, right. But Cruz will stun somebody and they just go kill him with that. So it's like
Yeah.
that's why I mean. But and you're controlling the fight because Cruz
Yeah.
is sitting there and
Yeah.
you're just
Yeah. Seems like a waste to
that's
set this team on defense.
for all the goodness that it does. Absolutely, and it even makes you call out to say if you want some evasion on it, he has to be on offense. So they've even taken it to the point to say, don't do that.
Yep.
The best defensive angle this team has is saying the words "if on offense," which then means that future things can say "if on defense."
Fair. I think that's actually a good point.
You like that a lot.
It implies a better world. Okay. Next question here from Smedge. With defense and prop modding and the defense to offense level 6, do you think BKM IG Paz beats Lord Vader with the Amp Ag level 6? That's going to be one of the big questions of week 1. Yeah. If you're, well qualified with defense and lots of protection, um, depending on how they're modded, it could it should work, you know? It should work. So I think all of us are going to be trying it.
Nope, sure fucking won't.
Don't listen to Dagger, the hater.
If it works, it works. I'm just not doing it week 1. Like I'll see if it works, and then if it works, I'll decide whether I want to do it. But all it takes is like 2 people who are reasonably well geared and built to fail for me to be like, yeah, I ain't trying.
Mm-hmm. Fair. All right. Next here from Smedge. As there is no more armor penetration for Bane, do you think the level 6 with 100% damage is the best choice? So,
Yes.
as opposed to going with one of the Sith Crons, something like that, or any one of the other attacker 6s. And would you go full health stats or a mix of health and crit damage on that, theoretical Bane Cron? What do you guys say?
Take whatever stats you need to make your Bane the best version of himself, If you have an offense built Bane, take health. If you have a crit damage triangle, maybe take health. If you have all health, take crit damage, and then just take the double damage level 6, and then just like one shot the Lord Vader team, and don't worry about BKM.
Doesn't the answer for building Bane often depend on what you're fighting?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, just have the Kron be like, yeah.
I'm saying I'm responding to them, not to you. Like,
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I tend to use Bane in places where his survivability matters more, and like my Bane win rate is quite low lately because it's just like I would bring a survivability Kron and then just not have enough damage and end up losing the fight. Then it's just like, yeah, Bane is broadly a build check more than anything. So much like Rada, be sure that you know what you're building for, what problems you need to solve for the matchup. That's kind of your job number 1 and number 2.
Can't go wrong with double damage though.
You can't until your Bane dies, and then you're like, well.
I was gonna say
Look, okay, let me put it this way. The next best contender is the bonus turn Sith level 6 is all I'm saying. Like, if you're looking for a Bane Kron, I do think that the double damage level 6 is probably the best.
I actually
not the DRFDC.
No.
Yeah, I don't
double
like
damage
that for
is more
Bane.
than 100% armor pen. Or 100 armor pen.
The 100% I agree with. Okay, sorry, I'm thinking the 400%. Sorry, wrong one.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that 400% does not go there.
Yeah, DR Kron also has other callings, so
That has doesn't that have armor pen on it as well?
Does,
yeah. Sure does.
80% health and like 100% armor pen.
No, it's 100%.
I think it's 100% health, 100% armor pen.
It is, yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
I'll say, like, I mean, it was a turning point in my last task matchup was taking Bane in and failing on his Leia, and right or wrong, like my impression of that battle was that I kind of screwed myself by. I mean, if you set aside the modding of my Bane, which is probably imperfect, but like I've had success with it in the past. But I think I tried to find I tried to have everything with my Datacron. I brought some survivability and some damage, and I ended up being under sort of the requisite damage threshold to be able to take out his Drogon, and not having enough survivability to hang in there long enough. And so it's one of those where I took out of that, like, at least my short-term learning was next time I go in, I'm gonna kind of min-max and probably just maximize my survivability, be a little less concerned for crit damage, and just make sure I'm going to hang in long enough. I could have gone harder and possibly gotten Drogon but I tend to like just survivability. Yeah, go ahead, Dagger.
Just remember that the Drogon level 9 gave 200% health until they took their first turn.
Yeah, true.
So it's probably not.
But Drogon takes his bonus turn. I think Drogon took his bonus turn before I did.
Oh, did he? Okay.
But I'm not sure. He might not have, but I think so. But yeah, you're right. That's gone now.
Okay. All right. Question 3 of 4 here from Smedge. Are Tuskens usable in Kyber 1 with the defense to offense level 6, which could interact with their momentum mechanic?
It's a good call out. Momentum, just as a reminder, gives, I think it's 20% defense per stack of momentum. And so that first turn that a Tusken takes, if they've generated momentum, they're going to have some ramps defense and that sort of inflated conversion. So that may be, like, there's some really hard Tusken counters that have pulled them or caused them to recede from the board pretty far in Kyber 1, but it's a really cool call out. Great question. So I
could be a lot of
see it. I can see him punching out.
I could see some places on offense you could use them. The problem is on defense, you just take in Tarkin and Scorch, and they die in 2 turns.
That's exactly where I was going. Yeah, it's like
just you
cool
give
thing
your
is,
opponent a 58 for free, and I don't like that.
So at least the Tusken air quotes tank is an attacker, so that'll be great. Especially getting the slap, so they're actually going to hurt a lot of people, but you just can't put that out there because Tarkin don't care.
Yeah.
But I could see it on
That's a
offense if you
bummer.
take it in against a team that's going to take multiple turns before you go
Yeah.
to build momentum, and then you
Yeah.
convert. I could see a use for him. It's going to be -3 banners, but I could see a use for him.
Maybe like Cobb.
Sure.
Oh yeah, people set Cobb. Sorry.
Uh, any other answers to that one on the Tuscan? Okay. Next one is, what do you think will be the best bounty hunter team using the Django data? So surely Asajj Dark Disciple is the second, and then Mando.
Honestly, I don't know if Asajj is necessary, but definitely 4-line. Maybe Zuckus or Asajj.
Yeah, it's interesting thinking about what you want to do with the team. Like if you're not planning on using it on offense, I'm not, appalled by the idea of Django Forlom Zuckuss.
Yeah, I just don't even know if you need Asajj on offense.
I think it's just gonna be so strong, that tie-in.
Yeah, I think you
Obviously
do need
the
that.
Mando. You
I just
put
think
that together. I think Forlom is right though. I think if you're gonna do it on offense, you put that Forlom together, like you said, Dagger, but you tie in the 100% just to make them go. They're just gonna slap so hard.
So
I
why are
think
we
it
saying
depends.
Forlom
I,
over
I think it
Mando
just
though?
I think it just depends on what your opponents are setting, because I do think that Dadbod, Asajj, and Fennec are going to be beating things.
You still need, so I could see the Mando, but you still, isn't it, you still need him to be able to do the first crit to get to the nuke, right? It's not just a auto nuke.
Yeah, but
No,
that's
you
something
need him
that
to
we
you need him to assist and have contract.
That's what I mean. It's like it's the two pieces of that, and in a world of 3v3 and no comparison, your Mando has a higher AI like targeting, if I'm not mistaken, that they're going to try to take him out. And he's still squishy.
Yeah. I guess just to land my plane slightly, the DBB Fennec Asajj with the double damage level 6
Yeah, that's a good one.
and all the prot up they get, so they'll just have full prot for like a couple turns. That just seems
that
disgusting,
could be gruesome. Could see it.
which is why I think it depends on what your opponent's going to set. Because I don't think Django needs Asajj to beat most of the things he's going to beat. I don't think he needs Asajj to beat them.
Hmm. I want to say she's the one bringing the prot. That nasty vibes.
I thought that was just in the Datacron. Hold.
I could be wrong. That won't mistake my life.
No, it might be from her kit. I'm just saying, like, what do you like? Think about what you're beating in threes with this team, because you're not really going after Stranger in threes. Like, what are you
That
hunting in
attitude.
threes? I mean, you don't have the damage to cut through Star Killer.
No,
What,
you need
three
those other
people?
pieces. Yeah,
Yeah,
you need those other. You need the full team for that setup, just because of what it's trying to
yeah,
do.
yeah. That's kind of where I'm coming from on that. I mean, I think it's just, if you want to have the dad bod team with another attacker cron, again, the double damage just looks so good, because she'll just have it for like 2 to 3 turns.
Okay. Not
And
necessarily the most powerful single team, but it's resource efficient. You get two decent teams out of it, and the uncertainty of week one that can bend your way.
yeah, I just don't think. I mean, we haven't had this cron in 3v3 yet, I don't think.
Right. No,
So
we
we
haven't.
don't know what it's beating in 3v3. And I'm just saying that I think its ceiling is much lower than fives, because the reason its ceiling was so high in fives is you just got to put 4 mass assists on the same team with an insta kill, or 3 mass
Yeah, as
assists
a
plus
with.
a
Yeah.
turn 1 insta kill.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to lose like over half your damage regardless.
Okay. All right. Next question up here from Maximus. Without it being a bash segment for the decision to move the GAC timing, how much will the timing impact everybody's schedule / approach to GAC? Will it force you to have earlier attacks, less time to prep, etc.? For me, I'm not sure how much difference it's going to make. I don't know, because I'm generally able to be fairly flexible. I prefer to go in the afternoons. That's just better for me in general these days. But I'll have to see how it is. Like, I feel for guys that have streams that are centered around Friday night, this and that. Like, Friday night, what the GAC with Zareth and Solo Base. You've got Friday night with Ranger, Friday night with Scribe. All these guys that are used to having, a Friday related event around Grand Arena. And it's just going to have to be a social call, I guess, from here on out. So those content creators took it worse than I did. And I don't know. How about you guys?
It works with my schedule excellently, but it's really shit for everybody who wants to stream it because you lose Friday night, Saturday. US, you lose Saturday night, Friday morning, and Sunday night.
Yeah, it's pretty buns. It's not great. It's not great.
I like it though, for my personal schedule.
Not huge impact for me. I mean, I'm just going to take some getting used to, and there'll be times
Yeah.
where it's inconvenient, but it doesn't really monumentally change for me.
Yeah,
You,
I
TJ?
just like that. I was just say I like that it takes the weight off my weekends, so I don't even really have to think about GAC on the weekends.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Fatal doesn't mess with you.
Short-term media plans, yeah, but less GAC related stream more so than like, all right, shit needs to be rescheduled slightly. But past that, like, I mean, my GAC plans are already kind of in upheaval as I try to figure out where things are going to sit in the near future. So like, I'm not really married to one structure at the moment. Like I've been going back between like early in the round and late in the round. Like things are just very free flow while I try to figure out what the heck streams are going to look like in the future. But I don't know. I mean, it's kind of nice to have Fridays back in some sense. Like, I mean, whether it's a Friday or a Saturday, or I mean, you can just. It's okay. So matches were normally Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, or Thursday, Saturday, Monday. So it's like, I don't know. I like in some level, like the people who are most affected by this are either end of rounders or match starters, because otherwise you already kind of had flexibility on which day you wanted to go if you were just within the 24-hour period. It's just, yeah, did you care about having a Friday stream, or do you feel like you have to attack at end of round or you will die, and then suddenly, that day doesn't work for you anymore? I don't know. I don't think it's a terribly big deal for me. It's a immediate scheduling pain in the ass, but like I don't really care long term.
The one thing I'll say that is pretty miserable, just in general, at least from the US perspective, is now you have attack phase on the first day of Conquest. And that just sounds like a miserable amount of time.
Do we not already have that?
Yeah, I
Because
was about to say that feels kind of familiar to me.
No. What I'm saying is that Conquest will start when attack phase starts. So they overlap completely. Not, the attack phase ends at 4, but Conquest starts at 1. So you have Central. So you have a 3-hour. You have 3 hours where it's attack phase in Conquest. Where if you could do your Conquest Sunday night and not deal with it, where now it's Conquest starts at 1, GAC attack starts at 4. For me.
I'll be honest, I don't really see the significance.
It's just having the time
It's
frame
just
of
now
another
spending
event.
3.5 hours of time in game on one day, as opposed to I didn't have to do that in the past.
Well, just don't GNC attack that day, no?
Yeah, that's probably what will end up happening. I just won't do attack date. I'll do my one attack on those days.
I think that's just you call it TBD of seeing how that's going to react. Just because, just like TB or anything else, you still have the 24 hours to do it. But I see if you're trying to overlap, but I think that's also going to be specific to your time zones wherever you're at.
Well, no, because Conquest is going to start, and then 3 hours later, GAC attack is going to start. So I would like to see them personally push Conquest forward a day, right? So Conquest also starts on Tuesday.
I think instead of playing this musical chairs, they need to just push the treasure nodes earlier, so that day 1 of Conquest isn't fucking awful.
That's all. Yeah, the first 2 days of Conquest are shit, and that's because of Sector 4. Yes,
that is a hike on day 1. Sure. All right. Next question here from Banja. Does KX need speed in the Ray context? How are you, Fatal, planning to handle 4-turn healing immunity from Ben once Datacron fires?
The data ground hasn't expired yet. Come back when it does.
Ah, touche. You've been foiled, Banja. But yeah, how much is speed a factor though for KX for that Ray counter in your limited experience so far?
Well, Ben ignores taunt, so it's going to be going on dead run half the time.
Sure, I'm sorry, but maybe you didn't hear him. The first part of that question was, does KX need speed in the Ray fight?
I have no idea. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
be flippant here. It's again, the part against Kron is baby mode, and I have not played on anything other than baby mode, so that shit might not work at all when part against
Well,
Omicron
what about
expires.
right now though? I guess he's
Oh, right
asking
now?
like to make it work. I know it's more of a 5 versus 5, or at least it is so far type of thing. But in your
No,
experience using it last season, yeah, go ahead.
it should work in 3v3.
Okay, good.
I speed is not a stat I was really worried about. I
Yeah,
have just had him on like 200 speed.
there you go. Yeah. Last questions here from Richie Fridge. So for the Stranger team on defense, which attacker level 6 would be best? Also, the stats. And he says, thank you all for a great show as always. Appreciate it. But as far as stats for the team, I would imagine just pure health would be the single best thing, right? And then I know Dagger mentioned this earlier. Is the defense to offense just a
Well,
shoe in
no,
for the sake of
no,
Spider Mall?
no. No, what I'm saying is that that's one of the teams that could use it. I would still do double damage level 6 with a crit damage.
With a crit damage focus, not a health focus. Okay.
I think the teams that are beating it, I think the teams that people will prioritize using against it this season probably don't care about the bulk. And if I'm wrong, then bulk. But yeah, I would go. I think leaning into that because Starkiller gives them plus 70 speed, so they're probably going to be going first.
Okay. Yeah. Not an unreasonable thought. And it might actually be a damage test against Sateel, although probably not against the big prod up, right? Probably going to be able
Yeah,
to deal with that.
if Bane works this season, then a health crit.
Yeah, I felt like health would probably, like previously when we could set that team on defense, health proved to be nasty, and that was in a pre-Sateel world. I would think that'd be even better now. But to your point, if they're going to go in with something and go second, and they just get blown out immediately by the double damage,
Well, yeah,
can't say it's
my only
wrong.
concern, my only concern is Bane because if you do the defense into offense and you don't kill Bane, he's going to one shot your team.
Yeah, true.
So
Other thoughts on this, guys? No? Okay. Yeah. That is the end of the patron questions. Thank you guys for getting these in over the last few days. Always a pleasure to get these answered. Let's take it back around to takeaways and final thoughts. So, yet a couple days yet, actually, from being locked in. This shift has already occurred in the Grand Arena schedule, so we'll all adjust. And like any systemic change, um, just the immediate aftermath of it is going to be the hardest few days of it. And we won't even be thinking about it here in a type of. So as far as my preparations here going in, based on our conversation, it looks like I do need to pick up a good handful more of the tank support crons. Um, I think I am gonna review the characters that I can swap from non-defense two sets into defense two sets for any one of these teams where I'm looking at using a defense to offense. I'm not sure I'm wanting to fully commit to the full defense thing because just in general, it is taking advantage of the seasonal benefit, but it's something I'm gonna have to revert in a few months, and it's kind of annoying to do. And if it's really so much a difference, I'll probably begrudgingly doing it, but not something that I'm gonna go full bore on week one. There is such a thing as wild overkill. Like I've seen people do like 240,000 true damage AOE's with offense modding using the defense to offense, and then it goes up to like 360 damage AOE's. So granted, like 50% harder if they were in defense modding, but how many things are surviving 240k AOE? So I don't know. Just got to get a few more crowns prepped, and then decisively, mod Ugnaught and Ezra, and I should be good here going into week one. I'll be lucky if I get a real match. Um, we'll see what happens, man. I have no idea how the bracket's going to behave. The last time I clawed my way back into the top bracket, I was rudely pushed out, like another two brackets down, and it took the better part of a season and a half to get back up there, something like that. So just staying optimistic. How about you, Dagger? Your takeaways, final thoughts as we prepare for this first week of Grand Arena.
None of them are GAC related.
You're useless. Useless.
But I would say, like, my final thoughts, just to piggyback off what I said at the end there. I'm interested to see how the next GAC attack / conquest goes, and I am, I'll just to reiterate, I'm a little excited. Might not be the right word, but it'll be nice to have GAC off my mind on the weekends because I no longer have to do one of my attacks over the weekend. I can do them during the weekday, and that's going to be nice going forward. I'm probably not going to do a ton week one and then react to the Crons week two and then remod for week three. So any minor tweaks that need to be done week two, I'll do. But my big remod is going to be going into week three because of the area units. So
oh yeah, dude.
I don't have a whole lot going into week one. That's kind of what I mean. So my thoughts are more on just other stuff. Right now, the World Cup's still going on. NBA free agency's wrapping up. I'm healing from my stuff. So yeah, just took this. Didn't put a whole lot of thought in. Took this week. Passed it.
Yeah, fair. Glad to hear you're on the mend. But yeah, appreciate that. On over to you, TJ. Your takeaways, your final thoughts. What's rattling around in your head getting ready for the 3 vs 3?
Honestly, I think we did a really good job of covering it up of what we're going to see. The prep we've done and everything else, I'm not changing much. Unlike you, I call it out. I won't do anything until I see actual stuff because I agree with you. Once you do these changes, they're a pain in the ass to undo. Um, and nothing is showing that the 260, like you talked about, versus the other is a reason for me to have to do that. So minus what we're talking about, I just it's a wait and see because agreed. We have the new eras coming up. So with all of this going on, it's not really convincing me to want to do all of this now for what would be a fun cron set. Um, but ultimately, I could still see if you never had it, you could still be okay.
Okay, fair enough. Over to you, Sasha Aisha. Your takeaways and final thoughts. We prepare for this first week.
Yeah, only a little bit on sort of the prep for this next week, and as I've mentioned already in the show, I've got a lot of my work ahead of me to do it before this upcoming lock. But mostly, I would say my kind of attention and curiosity is on what are the bigger changes coming to the game. Like, I mean, the next month or so, I think we're gonna have a very different experience on like, test grounds and get a sense of what like, either maybe what the new um era character experience is gonna be like. And I think there are some bigger changes coming and I'm cautiously optimistic about what those will feel like. I am hoping that at some point, maybe it's not right in that time frame, but not too far off, we'll start to see some sort of change in GAC or maybe remedy on the erodium front. So we'll see, but that's really where more of my focus is not the right word, but where like my kind of curiosity and interest is.
Yeah, fair. All right. Hopefully, I see you this week. Find out. And over on to you, Fatal. As the only other content creator on this stream, what are your takeaways, final thoughts going into this first week, and where can the good people find you for your own show?
Yeah, I'm playing it pretty safe. Like, I'll have to do a sit down with the season over the next day or two and see, like, okay, does anyone, it's like there's probably like 5 or 10 characters to remod for the data runs, but like, is there actually anything I really want to do aside from like, I definitely plan to do ISB versus Rand every 30, see how that scales out. But yeah, my expectation is that I think this season is largely going to feel like a sequel to the last season in a lot of ways. I do remember the end of last season had like me figuring out that DR Zalbar shit on the Cassian Cron pretty hard, and so like that'll be a pretty nice advantage to be able to continue through, as I don't think most people are aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, past that we'll see. Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV, YouTube.com/the playbook. As I mean, depending on how things develop in the next 2 weeks, there might be a lot of extra streams going on beyond just GAC days. There's also some weird stuff going on in games like Marvel Rivals that like directly affect me, so I'm maybe gonna be firing that up. We'll see.
Yeah, I know you were just complaining about it in our last show, but there was a patch, something's been fixed, improved your mood on it.
Uh, was I talking about this last week? Did this even exist last week?
I
They
think
deleted my main.
I
Oh,
think in
maybe I
our
think they
last
deleted.
episode we talked
I
about
think
it.
I think they announced it like literally at the same time, so it doesn't feel like it's been a week yet. Yeah, they deleted my main character and replaced it with someone else, and I'm trying to figure out if that's a character I care about or if I'm uninstalling Marvel Rivals. So
Mhm.
that's fun.
Very good, very good. Well, if it goes south, I'll say the same thing I said to you last week. Come find me on Overwatch.
Yeah. What else still exists there?
Fair. All right, appreciate you. And yes, thank you to all of my co hosts here for making the time. Looking forward to catching up with you guys next week, reviewing all this. Thanks to all of you who've tuned in here to the end. If you want to catch me live this week, if I have an episode, you'll want to be on my Discord to find out about that. Look in my links wherever you're catching this episode. There is a permalink to my Discord to join there. And of course, to catch me live, you'll see me at twitch.tv/Tassenix. I also simulcast from my YouTube channel, Tassenix Gaming, where if you've not been there before, check it out. A whole bunch of sword related content I think you'll be interested in. Anything you enjoy over there, please do hit like, hit subscribe to the channel to see more. Follow me on Twitch. All great ways to support me for absolutely free. If you love what I'm doing and you want to go above and beyond the call of duty to support the stream, there are a few ways to do so. I do have a Cash App that is $Tassenix. I have a PayPal that is tassenix@gmail.com. And if you're interested in getting some enhanced Grand Arena scouting power for yourself, early access to my content, including plotting and scheming, other benefits besides, you may be interested in becoming a patron. Check out patreon.com/Tassenix. For any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player, there is something there of interest for you. And a quick shout out to all my coaching clients, whether that's for Grand Arena or for mod coaching, mod development. They push me to make mention that I even offer that service because aside from this one slide, I don't really talk about it a ton. But yeah, if you're interested, please inquire. And yes, there's a discount for patrons on that. Otherwise, entering the TAS House costs as little as $5 a month, where you enter at VIP access level. Get that aforementioned early access to plotting and scheming. I will also occasionally make a patron exclusive episodes that you'll have at least a month ahead of the general public. And of course, dedicated text and voice chat on my Discord where I am usually lurking. So pop on in and say hi. And yeah, plotting and scheming is coming out to our general audience Friday mornings at 8 a.m. But patrons always have it Monday or Tuesday night, giving you early insight going into that first round of the week. Gosh, I wonder how that affects now. Maybe first two. Huh. But regardless, thank you to all of my subscribers here at VIP Access. Moving on up to the $10 a month tier is VIP Access Plus, where you get a bundled Patreon access to me and to your choice of either OmegaBot or Hot Utils Patreon. OmegaBot's that tool that I highlight at the start of all of my Grand Arena streams. It's the one with the graphs that give you an easily understood sense of your opponent's offensive and defensive tendencies. Anybody can use that tool for free to scout their opponent's last week of Grand Arena history, but only patrons can build out a custom report with any number of weeks. You get a downloadable HTML version of that report with embedded links that, when you click them, takes you right back into Swugga.gg or Insight with data pre-filtered, just helping you further minimize and focus your scouting effort. Alternatively, you might go for the Hot Utils Patreon, aka Chili subscription, which is your number one tool for mass mod management and loadout creation. Nothing else lets you switch so easily between your Grand Arena, TB, TW, and Raid mods. You can use it like TJ and Fatal Dude to comprehensively remod your roster using the powerful automation feature. You can slice through hundreds of mods in seconds, help out your guild in TW, so much more. No wrong way to go at VIP Access Plus. Thank you to all of my patrons subscribed here. At VIP Access Premium, that is $15 a month for the Double Bot bundle. So Patreon access for me, OmegaBot, and Hot Utils all in one price. Going out and getting those two bots anywhere else costs the same as this triple bundle, which is why so many of my patrons say it's one of the best values in the game. Thank you so much to all of my patrons subscribed here at VIP Access Premium. I know you guys enjoy Double Bots. All right. At the top of the list for my most generous supporters in Jester's Club Elite, the one, the only Nomad's Reaper, a madman who pops into stream from time to time, just goes crazy, handing out tons of gift subs, thousands of biddies, carrying hype train records by himself. He's done it all over the years. Thank you so much for the extraordinary support, Nomads. Likewise, to Pills, who will pop up mostly towards the end of streams, just hand out a random set of 10 gift subs here, 100 gift subs there. I never really know what to expect, but it is always generous. It is always appreciated. Thank you, Pill. Special thanks first to the Lost Womp Rat, a patron of mine who's gone above and beyond the call of duty, not just for me, but so many other content creators in our game, helping us all behind the scenes with our technical issues. Got a great skill set for that. And yeah, I also make Datacron set guide infographics and recommendation videos with him. So appreciate you being a partner in crime. And as always, thanks for your time, Brad. To Mrs. T, thank you for all you do in the background, whether that's just bringing me something to eat or drink while I'm here on stream, or just keeping our daughter from tearing the house apart while I'm trying to be the very best, like no one ever was at a phone game. I appreciate you. And of course, to my co hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, as always, it has been my pleasure and privilege to record our show this evening. I appreciate that you guys set the time aside every week for our show. I get to learn something from every episode. Hopefully, you guys feel the same on occasion, but it's not about us. It is about the folks tuning in, and they're letting me know. I wake up to DMs on Discord, comments on YouTube, folks thanking us for the discussions that we have on this show. They're able to find some actionable intelligence from our discussions, apply it in their rounds, and it's helping them win the day. So we're having the effect that we wanted to have with what we're doing here, guys. Thank you so much for being part of the show. 3+ years on, I want to say. Gosh, it's hard to remember, but I wouldn't change a thing. All right, back on over to the main scene. You have survived here to the end of the recording. Yeah, we've got an interesting week ahead, and we'll see how the 1 day shifting out of the Grand Arena schedule affects us all. Really hoping to have some rounds here this week, but I dare not hope too strongly. Tune in, and we'll find out together. Until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. Been real awesome. Take care.